Hi, everyone. Welcome to Nick's Game Changer, podcast number 9. Happy New Year. It's January. I think we should talk about discipline at some point this morning because I haven't been very disciplined in staying on track with these podcasts. But needless to say, I've got two friends here this morning. I have Ricardo Cordido and Rence Coassin, and we are going to be following our game-changing format here. For anyone just tuning in for the first time, this is a podcast started and really inspired by the Tim Ferriss book, Tribe of Mentors, if you guys knew that or not. Tim interviews people and asks the same questions to a host of people in this book. And during my time reading that book, I really started to think about a lot of how I would answer questions, and then people that I know in my own life and how they would respond to some thought-provoking questions. So we're going to jump into that today. This podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube. Hope everybody listening shares it, talks about it. I think today's going to be a good one. So, good morning.
Morning, Nick.
Hi.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for having us.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So, we're going to go kind of back and forth. You guys, this is the first time we've had two guests on the same episode here. So,
feel special.
Feel honored about that.
There we go.
So Ricardo and I go way back to Notre Dame high school days. Correct. And had pursued a real estate career, which you're in commercial real estate and investment sales. Well, you're all over the state, would you say, right?
All over the state. We get up to Massachusetts, done deals, down south.
Yeah.
Alabama, Florida, Texas. So
you're all over.
Our presence is up here, but yes, we follow our clients to other states.
Yeah, good. And you've been doing it since you were out of school, right?
Yeah, pretty much. A couple of years, graduated in 2008. Couple of years at residential. The market was, not great back then, but got my feet wet a little bit. But I've always wanted to dive into commercial real estate.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about, especially with my similar background in commercial real estate. We've kind of been in some of the ups and downs together, which we'll talk about. Rence Coassin. I like saying your whole name.
Yeah.
Lawrence
Jr.
Maybe Larry when you're in trouble.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Jimmy Gatcomb.
Let's just give a shout out to Jimmy Gatcomb. I wore my Patriots hat this morning, dropping my kids off at school, and guy was like, "Oh, Pats fan." I'm like, "Listen, you gotta ride or die. Listen, it's okay." But that's neither here nor there. That's where my mind goes when I hear Jimmy Gatcomb. Pats fan. Go Pats. Yep. So, Rence, you are the owner of ATP, American Total Protection, based in Hamden in Connecticut and Melbourne, Florida.
Correct.
And you and I did not go to – I didn't know you in high school, although you knew really half of Wallingford, I would say. Choke guy.
That's me. Me and JFK.
You and JFK.
And Ivanka.
And Ivanka,
JFK,
Ivanka Trump. We should tag her in this post. Actually, when I was a kid, I was probably in middle school. She used to work at this Tom's Cafe or like a little cafe right by the train station, and on Celebrate, she worked there. Can you believe that?
I did not know that.
And I went in there. Every year they have Celebrate Wallingford, and all like the choke kids would be. And she was working in Tom's Cafe. And I bought like a soda from Ivanka Trump. So she sold me something.
Nice.
That's all I have to say.
Did you know at the time it was her or no?
Oh, yeah. We knew it was her. Cool. Yeah. So
when I was, Tom used to let you smoke at Tom's Cafe.
Really?
So kids would go there.
Oh.
But I've never had a cigarette. My mom's listening.
Yeah, and I have not either.
Wow.
My mom's probably not listening.
I can't say the same.
But anyway, so Rence, you and I met, I think, at the recommendation of I'm not even sure at this point who referred us to meet, but
I think the first time might have been at the
Amity Club. Amity Club we met, and we started off. It was an interesting start because I was kind of like, "Who are you? How come I never met you before?"
Probably long hair back then.
Where'd you come from? So yeah, he was a little hippie-ish, but yeah, so. And you got a lot of things going on in your life. Run a business, young family, a real estate investor, big thinker.
Yeah, I try to stay busy.
And our group, and so we should just talk about Kyle for a minute. So
he wanted a shout out.
We want to shout out Kyle DeLucia.
He wanted one.
One.
I didn't want to get one.
K&J Tree. Kyle's working.
He's supposed to be here. Couldn't make it.
Right. Couldn't make it, but we have a little group. The four of us try to go get together regularly and have lunch and talk about things going on and help each other through the challenges of life in general. So I think that kind of always has been going on as I've been doing this podcast, and we had an idea of just bringing you guys on the show.
And I think as we get older, our stresses changes, certainly with business. And I found that, maybe the people you grew up with don't necessarily, like, they're still your best buddies and still have your best interests at heart, but there's some stresses that you bring home at the end of the day that maybe they don't understand.
They don't understand.
Yeah. So I think that's where I find benefit in hanging out with people with similar professional lives and similar stresses. Not everyone needs to worry about payroll or vendors or a big client upset with you. So it's nice being able to share those miseries with people.
Yes.
But also the successes.
Yeah. So I think that's a good way to start the podcast, and we're going to maybe work backwards. But so to ask each of you this question, and maybe we can switch it up, but I'm going to go to Rence first in this one, then we'll go to Ricardo. How do you respond to failure? And part 2 of the question, how do you celebrate success?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I go through an array of emotions typically. First, it's frustration and anger. But my whole life I'm good at internalizing failure and the stresses, which might not even be a strength. It's probably a weakness. But when my back's against the wall, I really respond. So the first few days are probably extreme stress, not being able to sleep. But when a decision needs to be made or you need to get to work, like that's something I've always been able to do. So whether that was with, a high school or hockey career or, or even business recently, we've gone through a lot of changes and they've all been ultimately amazing. And I've really grown from them. But the beginning, the first few days, it's like, what am I going to do? And just going through that process. And then, but ultimately, like it's like a light bulb. All of a sudden I wake up and I say, you know what, no one else is going to do this besides me. And, I just need to find a way. So how do I respond to failure? I would say in the beginning, cowering. And then I tend to, do my best to step up to the plate and just work harder. And I'm fortunate enough to, I have a great network. I have good friends. And just as I've gotten older, just realizing I can rely on, different types of people and seek advice. And, as long as I'm willing to be humbled and, ask for advice on a specific topic and realize I don't know the answer, I'll always be heading in the right direction. So that's how I address failure. And successes, it's something I just get anxious about how I'm going to do it again.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Keep the momentum going.
Yeah. And it is a game of momentum, but like a big sale and it's okay. We need to do X, Y, and Z. Maybe we need to hire someone else. And then it's like, well, now I have another person next year. So how am I going to get that next one?
So do you celebrate it? It sounds like you just kind of, go through the task list, but
really big. Like recently we had, a big moment at American Total Protection and, I went out with some friends and had some drinks. And, but I really, it's not much celebration. I just get nervous.
Yeah.
I need to deliver.
Yeah. And delivery is everything.
Yeah. But, and that's something, I really need to improve on, I think. And realizing that, this go around isn't a dress rehearsal, right? We only have one shot at this thing. So I really enjoy the successes and be present. But and my wife is really good at, advocating that, but it's a skill.
It's a skill.
So
yeah.
I need to get better at that.
Good answer though. I appreciate that. Let's talk to Ricardo now.
I hate failure. I'm the biggest. I hate losing. So growing up, obviously, just failing at something it's just horrible, right? End of the world. This is horrible.
Competitive household growing up.
Competitive. I'm the oldest of 3 brothers, so competitive household. Sports were always involved. And just always competition, right?
Yeah,
but
sure.
In a great way.
In a healthy way.
Healthy way, absolutely. Getting out of college and getting to the professional world, you got to be able to manage those stressors, those failures,
right?
And being in real estate, it's there's a lot more failures than there are successes.
Yeah.
So going into it, at first, why me? Why is this deal falling apart? Why is this going on? Why can't these cold calls make me money?
Right.
But over the years, you learn how to understand that those failures is what's going to lead to those those couple success stories.
Yeah.
And that's really where where time, I think it's really helped me. Just last week there was a deal that I thought was going to be the right deal for a client. We were waiting on some certain circumstances to work out, and unfortunately that deal no longer exists, and that one really hurt. But I was really angry. First 24 hours, come home, my wife's like, "What's wrong?" And just go through, this sucks. This deal fell apart. This one was supposed to work out perfectly. In my mind, it was all teed up, ready to go,
right?
And it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And my wife has been a big help for this. She's a school psychologist, so I'm her. I'm her, so to say, her best patient or student.
Does she have you figured out?
I think so for the most part. She won't tell me she does, but I think she does.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
that's what my wife's a social worker, and she says she doesn't have me figured out, but maybe she
does.
does.
She
yeah.
does.
So I let my guard
She's
down.
playing you
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
You see? That's a smart move.
Yeah.
So she always puts her psychologist hat on and helps me get through these failures.
Yeah. Well, that's great, and you know that, so you know that you.
And I'm starting to know that more.
Yeah.
Right.
And be receptive to it.
And as I'm in this profession longer, there's going to be a lot more failures going on.
So what? Tell me about the successes then. How do you celebrate success, and how?
I like to fly under the radar, right?
Yeah.
So my successes, I celebrate them with my family, my wife,
Yeah.
as far as, getting out there and promoting it a lot. I try to, depend on my friends and family to,
Yeah.
let other people know, hey, Ricardo's doing this big deal. He just accomplished it, hit him up, say congratulations and
Right,
stuff.
right.
I don't like to throw my things in people's faces, so to say.
Yeah.
Just the way I always was, brought up.
Yeah.
So, I guess I wouldn't say I really fully, celebrate them.
Yeah.
But, I try to enjoy it with my friends and family.
Sure.
Sure. Go out to dinner like you said, grab some drinks,
Yeah.
Yeah, part of it's the momentum thing too, which I agree. Like I usually don't name big clients by names if we get a huge deal. But you also like that whole concept of manifesting and like putting it out there, and then that momentum.
I'm very superstitious, so like you celebrate this deal, is there another one gonna?
Right.
It's just like
Yeah, and I think there's a couple things we always talk about, like the good and bad of talking about who your clients are or about things that have gone well, but also having a startup, which is what I had. It'll be 7 years next month when I started OneSource, and it started out by just telling people like who my clients were, because I wanted to give comfort to say, okay, hey, we've got people that are buying into this, and there's, it gives other people comfort to join, but it's always a catch-22 because your competitors are looking at it. Anything that you put out into the universe.
If that customer leaves, then what does that say?
What does that say? So there's a lot of things that kind of go along with how you sell. But even for me, like I didn't even celebrate success for a long time. I don't even talking about little. I think little victories has been a thing that I've learned. I don't know about you guys,
celebrate
but just
the process.
Yeah, celebrate the process. I always say that I'm trying to enjoy the journey. I'm trying to enjoy the struggle. I'm trying to enjoy that I'm going to look back someday and go, hey, the best days of my life were the days when, I was building OneSource and didn't know, sometimes how I was going to make payroll.
My wife says that a lot too. Try to live in the moment and try to enjoy, like you're saying.
It's hard.
And
it's hard to do.
It really is hard.
Especially in my business, I have really small deals too. Like both of yours, they're big. They take time. And we have
they're
both,
complex.
Right? We're trying to land a municipality or university. That's a bid process.
Yeah.
Design, engineering, implementation. It takes forever. But then we also sign up, the liquor store down the street, and those happen like that. So I get this. I get the same rush out of both, but it's something to be said about, enjoying the process.
Enjoying the process.
Yeah.
On a side note, that Smokehead has a cover over it, and it's going to drive me nuts the whole time because I'm in the alarm business.
So we're going to have to tell.
Yeah, we're going to have to address that.
We'll speak to the landlord or the tenant about it, and
where your eyes were going.
Yeah, I was like, well, what?
You put some real estate and facilities guys in the same room, and it's just bound to happen. We notice everything, so it's like that's another good point. It's like I'm walking through a store and like I notice the lights are out, or I notice it's just one of those things.
It's consuming, and in my business, the alarm side, we have stickers on doors. So if I go to a place that's a client, and the next time I go, perhaps they cancel for whatever reason, like I don't want to go back. Or if I go out to eat and I love the meal, but they have an ADT sticker, like I don't want to go back as badly. So I need to get over that. I take it very personally. Yeah, it's exhausting.
All I know is I see business cards everywhere.
That's
I
it.
see ATP business cards everywhere.
Louis Maneri.
I mean, I was just
They're
gonna
out
say,
there.
I got to shout out to Luminary because and we must go to either the same places. I'm not really sure, or he just goes everywhere. But the guy's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to him, and it's a testament to you.
And it's great for the brand. I mean, it's not even, I'm just all about that. If they see it when they're picking up coffee in the morning, then they see a yard sign driving to work.
That's
and
what I see on people's mailboxes all the
perhaps
time,
they see us pop up on Facebook, and then all of a sudden they want a security system 3 months from now. They Google an alarm company in New Haven County, and we pop up. I think it helps with that tiebreaker, right?
Yeah.
2 people show up to bid.
Sure.
Price is quite similar, like both the sales reps.
Right.
But hey, like, you know what? I see these guys around, and they're at my local coffee shop. So I don't know. I think it goes, and that's tough. Like if a sales guy doesn't meet his quota that month, but he's doing work like that, it's like that's really hard to put a number on that, right? So I value it greatly.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. And it's the repetition, and it's also how times change. And we talk about door to door, knocking on doors, traditional networking, which I know all 3 of us do. But then there's the whole digital marketing side, and the digital strategy, and that to me was uncomfortable, especially at first. To see myself on a podcast, and then this is part of my personal brand, but it's also I am one source at the same time, so it's all one. But putting it out there, kind of like what you were saying, Ricardo, that's saying I fly under the radar, like you were raised that way. It's a challenge. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
I'm realizing that myself now.
Because how do people learn, and how do they learn about things that you do, and how do they know? Well, a lot of people are on their phone and on their computer, and they're on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, all the things that the platforms that we're on, and it's definitely out of your comfort zone, especially initially, to put yourself out there. So thank you to you both, even for coming on this show and putting yourself out there a little bit. So
I appreciate it.
We're going to go on to the next question. So tell me, and we'll start with Ricardo this time, what behavior, habit, or ritual can you not live without, and why?
Interesting. I don't know if I have a certain habit or ritual, or like I always think about just working out, right? When I don't get at least three days of working out a week, I'm definitely more stressed. My mind's more racy, and just I think the working out aspect. I've been working out since in high school. My physique doesn't prove it, but no, I just it's something for the mind, right? Working out, exercising, getting outdoors, running around. Those are kind of rituals or habits, and that's what I would say. I don't have a ritual where I wake up every day and I do a meditation. That I don't do that. I know I should. People tell me I should.
I should too.
Everybody says it's the best new thing.
My wife has done it for like the last 3 years. Every day.
And habits, nothing really comes to mind. Nothing really comes to mind.
I think working out is great. I know all 3 of us do it. I think that's a great habit or ritual, no matter when. It's making the time to get it into the schedule, but it's creating the time, because we all can find reasons not to. And I went after being like a athlete in high school and being very active through college. I went through a period of time where I didn't do anything. And I think that we all kind of go through waves, but just making it a priority. I mean, to me, that's. I think I look at looking forward. It's something that I want to keep as a priority, and I think that's where we both agree. You too, Mr. Coassin.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me, do you have a behavior or a ritual?
So I'll get to working out, but I go down to Florida once a month, and it's not for a long time, but it's typically 3 to 4 nights, and we all have young families. So I would say when I'm home, one routine is, and I've been fortunate enough lately because I've gotten better at just realizing, I don't need to be in the office, before 8 o'clock, unless I have to, or, I don't need to be the last one to leave. So I try to make a point of it now to see my daughter not always when she wakes up, but definitely before she goes to bed. And I do everything in my power that if I'm home, that I get to see her that day. Right. And it sounds even horrible saying that, but if I'm at, Amity Club, for example, I'll leave after 30 minutes just because I didn't get to see her in the morning. So having like someone that you just unconditionally love and that is just like so pure and happy, like to me, that's contagious and like it's part of the routine. So I guess we could call that a ritual, but it's part of like my process. And then I was I played competitive hockey in high school and college, and I've, I got really committed to working out. I would say, like, I always thought I was in shape, but I got in like really good shape my junior and senior year of college, and then carried that on briefly after. And then I let myself go for 5 years. And it was actually like, it was listening to podcasts and hearing just some of these like pure savages just talk about like, there is no excuse, there's 24 hours in a day. And like Joe Rogan talking to David Goggins or Jocko, and
great ones.
And just like, one thing that I remember changing, and it sounds so corny, like Rogan was talking with his comedian buddies when they do their challenge, and they're like, how do you work out so hard? He's like, I picture someone trying to hurt my family. And they're like, ha ha ha. And he's like, no, I'm dead serious. Yeah. So I've gotten in a routine now for probably over a year. Like, I've lost, I think, 40 pounds.
Yeah, you look great, by the way.
Thank you. And it's like a mental thing, which is like not necessarily, I think, sustainable always, but like I literally picture, I'm like, I wonder if like the CEO of this competitor is out here running when it's 15 degrees.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I just, like, to me, that gives me a mental edge that when I come home and that, 6:30 in the morning, I've already worked out for an hour and a half, and had a great breakfast. Like, maybe it shows weakness that like I need that like up in the morning to say, like, to have that edge. But like for me right now, like, best year of my life professionally was 19. It was my first like full year with my daughter. Like, made a lot of gains, and it's so the process seems to be working.
Yeah.
But then it becomes exhausting, because I get like, I'm really hard on myself when I do miss a workout or something like that. But yeah, I would say spending time with Sienna, C-Money, and working out is part of my process and ritual.
And it's things like that I think you recognize now that because I think we've all let that go during different times.
And once it's gone, it takes so hard to get back. Yeah. That's what I'm afraid of. That I take really, 2-3 days off, and it's
all I think about now is health is wealth.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So 2020, going forward too, it's just maintaining some level of healthiness.
My 2019, one of my New Year's resolutions in 2019 was to spend more time outside, which after finishing that whole year, doing a lot of hiking, doing a lot of running, even riding a bike, which is a thing I hadn't done in forever. But I really enjoyed it, and you find simplicity in those things, and you get to hear yourself think.
Yes,
which I think is also part of something that you could easily just get lost in the chaos and not let yourself think. And I think that's one of the things that I like to do too, is just to get outside. And that was something that I hadn't realized until it came around last year, that it had been really so long. And the things that you do as a kid, it was like things I did with my dad and my brother.
You miss them.
You realize you miss them. You push it out of your brain for so long.
Did you ever go through a stage when you didn't want to think because you were too overwhelmed or stressed?
I think that, there's times when I think I looked for distraction to really not focus on taking the challenges head on.
Right.
And I think that those days are gone too. I think that I've tried to become, I think even though I've always been self-aware, I think when it came to other people and other relationships and, friendships and all different things, I just sometimes didn't want to have the time to address it. To address
it. After I lost my dad, I went through a stage where I just, I didn't want silence. Like driving, why is the quiet music on?
Just keep yourself.
Or like driving, which isn't the help. Like that's not the way to do it. But I went. That was really I couldn't enjoy like listening to a song because like I was just my mind. Like I just had to be. I would have to be more distracted than that.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a good point. Just like running and hearing your feet hit the ground and just getting used to that routine and just gives you time to think about stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think because we all have so many. Demands on our lives. I think that what's the thing that I think is important, and it's hard to say out loud or to admit to people, is because we all have families and businesses and things, is that take time for yourself. It doesn't need to be a lot of time, but just a little bit of time.
It slows things down,
And it keeps you, because you have to stay healthy. You said it. You have to stay healthy. You have to stay grounded. You have to feel rested. I mean, I'm personally right now, the last couple weeks, I'm exhausted.
Don't talk to me about it. I was just telling Rence. My daughter hasn't slept. It feels like the past 2 weeks, and it's tough.
It's tough.
It's the airport analogy.
What's that?
Well, they're airplane. You got to take care of yourself.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that we can remember, and as a takeaway, and as we move forward, something to keep in mind. So let's talk about it. Let me get to another question here. I want to talk about innovation for a minute, and this is maybe a little bit more on the career side, but do you have new ideas about where to look for new ideas? And I know that's a very open question, but either one of you want to start with that one?
Yeah. So my industry, my day job is the electronic security world. And then in Florida, we do fire extinguishers and fire sprinkler and suppression and hood systems. So on the alarm side, our world is constantly evolving with do-it-yourself systems. And now I have Amazon as a competitor with Amazon bought Ring and Google bought Nest. So I used to say a few years ago that I rely on them to innovate. Right. When them being Honeywell. Right. Yep, and now all of a sudden these guys are in the industry. Yeah. So I think of it more on my day to day, because my background isn't technical, is like innovation on marketing and how to get to the clients I want. And, the way I do that is surround myself with people like yourself and also, other peers that seem to have found success. And I've always said, so going back to innovating ways of finding good clients, I try to partner with people that have my ideal client, right? So the idea is that I don't need to knock on the door because they already have. So how do I, innovate new ways of finding clients? Is by surrounding myself with really smart people. Yeah. And then about my world on the technical side, and we've noticed some erosion with like the residential market. We're still going to get the custom homes who want a professional company. Business owners who are willing to pay the extra $5 a month because they want to just be able to call someone and not sit on hold with, some Google line. I think something I can improve on is becoming more technically aware of the changes. But most of the way I think about it, innovation is, how to get more out of our existing employees, and also how to, how do we market better to our ideal clients.
Talk about, that's a great answer, but, and I agree with everything you said. Innovation on marketing and innovation on networking, but talk about the technical side for a minute, because you are in a very technical field, and for me, out as an observer of you, that seems like a very daunting thing. That if do you have an understanding of like the technical side? No, seriously.
I know enough to be dangerous, but I can't.
But I'm saying from an innovation perspective.
My clients deserve someone smarter talking with their engineers or IT team. And we offer that, through our team. Yeah. So I know enough to speak at, a high level with the CEO or the facilities manager. But when it says, okay, like we want to take the next step of this process, I need to bring in people on my team. Yeah. And then also we have great partnerships with our vendors, and we bring in their team as well. So the answer is no. If you told me, Rence, you need to go install this today, or you need to sit down with, the IT director of this company, I'd be outmatched. But as long as I can bring in my team, people I employ, then that's how we meet those needs.
Yeah. So first of all, I already knew the answer to that question, which is why I wanted to ask it, because you have a general understanding, but you also are smart enough to hire the expertise and to know when it's the right time to say, hey, I have the answer for you. You got to talk to this person right here.
And people really, the vast majority of people, at least the people I want to do business with, they respect that, right? It's very humbling to tell someone, because not many people do it, that I don't know.
Yeah, right.
And people like sometimes they're just because the guy before was a know-it-all.
Right. A lot of power in saying I don't know, but I'll find you the answer.
Right.
Have you either of you read the E-Myth? I think it's Michael Gerber wrote this book, the E-Myth, and it basically, I haven't read it in a long time, but from what I remember about it, it talked about, having a technical skill in a trade, or, being good at your trade, but running a business are two separate things. And there's a lot of people that are good at what they do, but then they try to go out on their own because they say, well, I understand how to make this widget.
Or do they know everything?
They say, like, I know how to make this widget, but that means that I should do it for myself. But they don't know so many other things about business ownership, being an entrepreneur, that they never really realize that maybe you have to make that jump. Yeah. There's a lot of other skills that go into it. So for you, on the backwards way, it's like, I could run a business, understand relationships, I understand marketing, I understand how money works, but I may not be the technical subject matter expert, but I think I have all the other skills, and it may make it work. And I think that there are some people that have, it's like my brother, he's a chef, right? So his trade is being a chef.
Right.
He also knows, he went to business school. He knows how to run a business. He has both sides of it. I think some days for him, it's therapy to be working on the line, cooking, because he likes it and he's good at it. But at the end of the day, he's a businessman,
right?
And so he gets really both sides. Is what I'm saying. Is for us, it may not be.
No, you're absolutely right. And
you know?
at times you feel held hostage, and then from a leadership perspective, I mean, things happen. People get sick. People's families demand they move. They make a career change. So I'm constantly. I can do a better job of it, but what happens if this person leaves, or what happens if this person wants a different role? Do we have someone who can step in and fill that void? And if we don't, that's on me. So that's something I'm constantly thinking about.
Sure. And Ricardo, to you, I mean, you're a commercial realtor, so you've got different types of clients. I'm assuming some must be institutional, some may be individual, all different types. And and I think that I used to do what you did, but really not as well, and it was a long time ago. Your demands are very unique, though, because you really are an individual contributor. You're an advisor.
Correct.
And they're calling you because they're expecting you to have the answer and to guide them. Tell me so I want to go to the how you find new ideas, but before we get to that, how do you handle the expectation of them calling you and saying, hey, I expect you to have the answer? Or how does that?
Well, obviously, if I don't have the answer, like Rence was saying, I'm a big proponent of saying, listen, I don't know, but I know who to call or who to find out. And clients really do appreciate that. A lot of these, from my personal opinion, a lot of these brokers are full of it. So they'll say what they think the client wants to hear, and the outcome usually isn't right, and clients get pissed off. Excuse my French, but yeah, I'm a big proponent of, listen, I've been doing this for, almost 10 years. I know a lot, but I don't know it all.
Yeah.
So when you're able to, step back and tell, some of these high net worth individuals or these big institutional clients, I don't know, but let me try to find the best answer for you. They really appreciate that.
Yeah. Have you ever told a client not to do a deal? Like, hey, this is not in your best interest?
I have, and they've actually really appreciated it. And they did the deal. But that's they
did it anyway. So one time
it was just my personal opinion about a market I know very well.
Yeah.
In New Haven, but they saw an angle that I didn't agree with, but they proceeded with it.
There's a book called The Go-Giver.
It's a great book.
It's a great book, and one of the examples in it, I forget what law it was teaching. What was it? It was like the first one, law of value or law of authenticity, and it just he couldn't service a client because they didn't think he was big enough or something, and he referred like the guy he viewed as his biggest competitor, probably also a little more qualified. And just at the end of the book, it comes full circle, and that he ended up getting a great referral from that guy. But I've never referred a competitor in Connecticut, but I really try to, when I get a call, Rence, can you do this in New York? Can you do this in New Hampshire? And I view it as an opportunity to get a referral in the future. And in theory, I could probably hire a sub and figure it out and make a little bit of money. But I refer it out, and my end game, selfishly, is I think when they have a client who needs it in Connecticut,
correct,
they'll call me. But that goes back to just on a marketing level. Whenever I come across bids, and I've done it with you, if I'm looking, I'll share it, with Kyle.
Right.
Or if I see a property manager bid, I'll share it with you. Or if I see a uniform thing, I'll share it with the folks over at White Way. And I think it's just a way to touch people and stay top of mind. And, also just, it's just kind of a way of giving back. And also I can't help you, but I know someone that can. Exactly. And it just goes a long, long way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Those are good comments there. Anything that you want to add to that, or anything you want to touch upon? We'll move on to the next question. I just want to make sure that I'm giving ample. I've never had the double guest before, so I'm just making sure everyone's good. So let's see. I'm gonna ask one really about your, because I try to ask some thought-provoking questions here, and I'll start with Ricardo, but. It's a two-parter.
Okay.
The first one is
Write this down.
the first one is what?
Ask me the first one, and then we'll get to the
First
second
one's
one.
what would be your personal motto? Do you have a personal motto?
Sleep when you die. I say it all the time.
A lot to be said for that.
Sleep when you die.
Sleep is directly correlated with longevity.
Yeah, I know. I know. And I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Okay.
All right.
So now this is a great follow-up question. How do you want to be remembered?
Tired.
Grumpy.
How do you want people to remember you?
You know, I think Gladiator said it best. You know, what we do now echoes in eternity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know, I want to make sure that I'm remembered as just overall just a good reputation, a good guy.
Yeah.
You know, come from a great family, hard worker. You know, was in the game for a very long time.
Right.
And just, you know, of course I like to be remembered. You know, I built this, you know, mega huge structure. This is my name on it.
Right.
But it's more than that, right?
Right.
It's, you know, it's you're, you know, helping your community out.
Yeah.
You know, getting engaged with, you know, schools.
Yep.
You know, just overall, just as a good, hard-working person.
Yeah, that's a great answer. That's good. Rence, what about you?
Personal motto.
Personal motto.
So I have two. One has always been there, and then recently I found call it like another paperweight, because I have both that say these two quotes, and it just really resonated with me. The first is from the Bronx Tale.
Okay.
The saddest thing in life is wasted talent.
Yeah.
I've been afforded so many opportunities in my life that, and it doesn't come from my parents, or one of my biggest stresses is I don't want to waste it, right? So that's also led to me not enjoying the moment as much as I should, because if I went to a great high school, I wanted to go to a great college. I went to a great college, I want to have a great career, and it's like just chill out and enjoy the moment. So, and then the other one, and not as prestigious as the Bronx Tale, but I think it was Churchill who said, "Meet failure like a man and success like a gentleman."
Wow.
And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about of, you know, when your back's against the wall, you know, step up to the plate, and when you're successful, you know, that's what you were kind of supposed to be. So enjoy it. So those two things, I mean, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent is certainly one that's always been there for me.
Yeah.
But, you know, as I've gotten older and, you know, now run a business and responsible for, you know, over 50 people's paychecks, and, you know, then I have a little one at home who depends on, you know, my wife and I, that, you know, it certainly resonates the ladder that, you know, if you don't step up, no one else will. And then how do you want to be remembered? Like, on the big level, I think I lost my dad, and, you know, he was remembered as just being always there for people and supportive and generous. So, you know, I've kind of at a young age kind of learned, you know, maybe just like closer to home about like how would I want to be remembered. So I would say all those traits. The big picture is just I want to be that guy that, you know, if someone's
people write books about.
Yeah. Well, if someone's in jail, you know, pick up the phone and call Rence, you know. He'll go get the bail money and bail me out.
I'm going to remember that.
Yeah.
I might need you for that.
Right.
Both good answers. Thank you guys both for your honesty. I'm going to ask another question here. Well, because you both mentioned this, and I think in your last answer a little bit. But so I'll start with Ricardo again. What are some causes that you care about? Because you both kind of mentioned community in a certain way. Any causes?
So I don't have any direct causes specifically.
Yeah.
But
anything that you feel passionate about? I mean, even looking forward.
You know, it's interesting because I've been really thinking about this. I'd probably say the past 2 years, and I've been telling my wife, like, I want to get more involved in a cause, in a charity. You know, maybe one day, you know, start a, you know, Cordido Foundation. You know, even me and my brothers just start.
I love that idea.
You know, just start something. But I can't tell you at this present moment that I have a specific one, right? Mm-hmm. So
you're still kind of exploring a little bit, which is fair. That's a good, honest answer. I think that the intention's there, you know, and I think you're going to find something that's going to strike a chord someday. You know, for me, it was always...
You know, I want to make sure when I get involved in something
that your heart's there.
My heart's there.
Yeah,
exactly. My heart's there.
In college, I developed this like real passion for financial literacy and entrepreneurship because I really kind of felt strongly about people not having the tools, you know, because they say the first teachers are your parents. It starts at home. And, you know, forget, you know, people like us that come from really, you know, good hands-on family. Some people don't have the parental influence that we had, or even the the expanded family, whether it's grandparents, aunts, uncles, everybody. I mean, we all three of us have great networks of people. So that, just knowing that, what I knew back then, and then, learning about things like junior achievement today for me, which is, again, financial literacy and entrepreneurship. I support that cause because I always just had an interest in it and helping other people.
Right. Yeah. Certainly something towards children. Or even teenagers.
Yeah.
Someone who's just about to get into the workforce and maybe needs a little bit of mentoring.
Yeah.
Those are all things that, go through my mind.
There's good opportunities for that. And even offline after today, we can talk about some of those and things that I've gotten involved with, like the Ulbrich Boys and Girls Club in Wallingford. And I've really recently in the last 2-3 years, taken a real big interest in just the town of Wallingford because I live there. And I'm the chairman of the Wallingford Housing Authority.
And you grew up there.
And I grew up there, and I want to give back to the community. Yep. So I think it starts with that intention, and it just kind of happens over time.
So the intention is fully there. It's just a matter of finding the right fit, and doing it with maybe guys that you get along with, and everybody has the same mindset. And
put it out there, put it into the universe like you did just now.
There you go.
It's gonna find you. What about you, Rence? Causes that you care about?
So I've been on boards before, like for the YMCA or whatnot.
Yeah.
I like doing things that are more specific right now. I mean, I find that a lot of these big organizations, and the Y was not, I'm not using that as an example, but most boards I've found that the first thing they do is how much money you're going to donate, which was extremely disappointing because I thought it was going to be more like, how do we fix things and how do
I use my skills?
Right. So like I've always had my guard up with things like that.
Yeah.
I've always talked about it, right? And shame on me for never doing anything, but I think similar, I mean, you'll need to explain junior achievement more to me, but the idea of like a big brother program, or I might be too old for that now. But just teaching, young kids, like it's not, no shame on them, but like how to, tie a tie or shake someone's hand or, write a thank you note or say please and thank you. Just like little things that maybe
things that we think is simple.
Right. Because, and it's because we were fortunate enough to be brought up in families that maybe taught us that.
Right.
So yeah, like that's something I've always said I would like to be more involved in. And if I found something that was, that's something I would do. But I once had a friend who, he's still a friend, but he talks about, rather than writing a check to an organization, he'd rather, buy a veteran a pickup truck than he did one. Yeah. So I've always been, I've contributed to the Ulbrich Boys and Girls Club. I believe in the mission. I believe in the leadership team. But as a business owner, you also get asked all the time, which is also a very delicate balance of insulting people and picking and choosing where you do donate. And once you donate, then do you set the precedent that they're going to be asking you every year and you realize you had a really good year, so you're in a position to donate, and then you get worried, if don't have a good year next year, am I going to be in a position?
Right.
So in terms of directly involved in causes from a financial standpoint, it's difficult decisions to make. And then, I lost my dad to brain cancer. So I had a cousin who, ran in a road race. So I mean, if it's a specific cause or like supporting a buddy, trying to raise money for something, I'll certainly contribute, how I can.
Contributing, I've, like your point, I've always been open to, helping anybody who needs help. Yeah. There's something more that I'm tired of. I hate this. I'm tired of writing just checks.
Writing checks. And
right. And with no thank you, because, the gentleman we mentioned earlier is not here right now, but Kyle is extremely generous. And we've done, we together in another organization, and I feel affiliated with Bazzuto's, donated the new police dog in Hamden. And that was super rewarding. So like causes like that, but it just gets, exhausting when then everyone's asking. And it's hard. And I ask for my time sometimes. Like exactly. Say, I want to come help, ask me to come rake leaves. Or,
that's interesting because you took literally the words out of my mouth there. And I was in a recent conversation last couple of months I had with one of Marielle's uncles. We were talking about all different things and life in general. And he said to me, "Do you know how to spell love?" And I said, "Well, tell me." And he said, T-I-M-E. He said the gift of your time, a lot of times is the best way to show someone or that you love them. So whether that's a cause or a person, so it's like it's easy to write a check, but especially with the schedules of today,
right,
and all the demands of today, to give somebody your time, and which you charge for. Think about it.
Right.
When you're in business, you charge for your time. the gift of that is really as a form of love too. So that's been a lesson that I've learned, and I think that's what the three of us can use to kind of help as we navigate through 2020.
Let's put our minds together and start our own little charity team.
Little charity team. I like that idea. I have one final thing, and then we're going to wrap this up. See, you guys are doing great. The time is just flying by. I want to go back to what I said at the beginning of this session. So the way that we met was different, and Kyle obviously is a part of our little group here. And we've been meeting, I don't even know how long, for once a month, and under the radar. And not that we're wanting to talk about it, but I think the importance of what we do and the impact it's had on my life personally is what I want people that are listening to this podcast to understand. So it's that the four of us get together, try for once a month, just have an unfiltered, transparent conversation about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there was a time right before Christmas, and just based on all the things that we're doing together, I had a really bad day, and I got in my car and I found myself in the parking lot at Rence's office, and I called him and said, I got to come inside and talk to you. Or, you and I having a conversation about some of the things. I'm looking at Ricardo, like when I started my business and some of the internal doubt and struggle and challenges that I've had. So it's been you all, and Kyle included.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle. I really am grateful for you guys. So I'm putting out there the impact that our friendship has had on me personally, but also just kind of want to hear for other people the value and the benefit of just having a core group of people that you can really rely on. Because everybody always says, how are you? I'm great. How often do you hear that?
Yeah.
Great. All the time. All the time. Are you really great? Well, maybe on the outside I'm great, but on the inside it's this tornado. So,
right.
So, I mean, Ricardo, I mean, just anything that you'd want to add or share about?
I think what everything you just said is on T, right? It's on point. Having you guys, it's good to, get together for lunch and bullshit about, work's great, work's not good. This is what I'm looking for, a couple wants and needs for clients. But, secondly, just talking about personally, how are you doing? Right?
Right.
How's home?
Right.
What's going on?
Right.
Why are you so stressed out?
Correct. Yeah.
Just talk about life, really.
Yeah.
And it's in a relaxed setting. And, obviously we meet once a month, but we text and talk all the time.
All the time, right.
And, brainstorm ideas and it's just a casual, relaxing.
But it helps, right? I mean,
it helps 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it's you guys, people you trust, people, you do a little business with, and maybe not necessarily you don't do business with, but it's just, it's guys that you genuinely trust. And I know all three of you guys have a great reputation. Like I said, Nick, you and I went to high school together. Kyle's a guy from Hamden. Rence, Hamden guy.
God's country.
Rence, and his father, my father had mutual friends, so I've known him for a while. So yeah, just and we're all successful at what we do.
Yeah. And what would you add to that, Rence? Anything?
Yeah, I think you kind of level up or level down with the company you keep. So, it doesn't mean don't hang out with people if they don't have their own businesses or whatnot. Right. But, I rely on, I have some, amazing friends in this world that I can just pick up the phone and I don't do it often enough, but I think I do it more than most 31-year-olds is, one of my best friends lives in Calgary now, and I'll pick up the phone and we'll talk, two guys for 25 minutes.
Right.
Like that just isn't, I think there's probably a level of safety there too on both sides. Cause we're not in the day-to-day together anymore.
Sure.
So it's nice just having kind of this unfiltered combo. And then like one of my best friends from growing up, Dylan, who works with me, the biggest heart in the world, that, when you do, like when he notices you're having a bad day, like someone who actually cares and asks. So just like surrounding yourself with people that are going to like bring you to that level you want to be. And Kyle talks about it often. And, there's all these quotes out there that like you're a result of like the top 5 people you hang out with
you're a big quotes guy.
What's that?
You're a big quotes
guy.
Well,
that one, I made that up. Like, it could be top 3 or 5, and it's probably more elegant. But
he's got a lot of mantras.
Yeah. No, and that's something like I've always tried to put myself, like had the chance to go to some good schools, and it was always like, you know, what did you take away from it? And they expect some profound answers. Like I was surrounded by really motivated people who wanted me to be better, and I wanted to be better. Whether it was they wanted to be a professor, they were going to be the best professor in the world. They wanted to be a professional hockey player, they were going to be the best hockey player in the world. But constantly surrounding yourself by people that want to be the best at what they do.
You know, we all push each other. Like you're saying,
and it's not, and that can be.
We're never content.
And the pessimist or the person always looking for something critical would say, well, that's keeping up with the Joneses. And like, why can't you ever be satisfied? It's like, no, it doesn't need to be like, then shame on you for thinking it's about money.
Yeah.
Because it could be whatever your success is. So you're the jerk. Look in the mirror for assuming immediately, you know, that's correlated to money. It could be just someone being able to take care of their family or be happier or be in better shape. So, you know, I want to surround myself with people that are going to make me better in every facet of the world and and then, as you said, it's time, right? It's time. So like you want to surround yourself with people that you can't get that back.
Right.
So
that's right.
It's the one thing you can't buy or, you know, work harder and get more of. I mean, maybe if you're a little healthier, but and sleep more.
Yeah. That's it. Ricardo, you got to sleep more.
It's hard with a year and a half old.
Yeah.
But
well, I think that we had some insight. I don't know, maybe hopefully people learn some things today.
Yeah, some therapy. I'll send you an invoice.
You send me, yes. I have to tell you, this podcast, hosting this podcast for me, and it's surprising when I'll be out and about and I'll see somebody and they'll say, hey, I listened in to your whatever they call all different things, your show, your podcast, and it's been helpful for me. It's been therapy for me to talk to people about just honest things happening in everyday life. And I know people say, well, what's your goal of the podcast? And it's like you were saying before, sometimes it's not about money. It's just about, you know,
feels good. I don't know.
Feels good. It's about being genuine. It's about putting things out there. It's about people understanding that, you know, behind the facade of everything that social media is today, what is life like really for people? And I think the people that are the most authentic are the ones that you really see that can really excel and rise above. And so I appreciate you guys, and
thank you, Nick. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you guys for your time. And I always talk about coffee at the end of every podcast, and unfortunately, just as my own lack of discipline in having a show, I brought myself, because they named streets after me one way. I had a Starbucks coffee this morning that I rolled in with here, and I went very corporate. So I do enjoy a good Starbucks every now and then, although on the next episode, I hope that we'll have a local coffee. Do you guys either have a local coffee shop, either of you, that's like local Connecticut coffee shop that you just can't go without?
No,
I don't.
I'm a Starbucks guy.
Starbucks guy.
I'm an Americano guy.
Nice.
Me too. It's the ease. My wife, it's next to her gym, so in the morning she'll pick it up for me.
Wow, that's very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, good.
I mobile order it though.
I have an espresso machine, and every morning I have an espresso, and I have one in the afternoon.
Love it.
I'm not a big.
What kind of espresso machine?
I'll do iced coffees in the summertime, but that's about it.
I like Common Grounds in Hamden.
Okay,
but just because of time.
Yep.
And I like drinking on the way into work. I typically get
Starbucks. You take the Starbucks. What kind of espresso machine?
A Nespresso machine. Yeah,
I have two of them.
They're great.
Love them. They're great. I have them everywhere.
They're great. They're great.
We have an espresso machine, but I never bought the right grounds. When you on your wedding for your registry, it takes up space on the counter.
Well, I can help you with that.
Maybe
I can help you with that.
Help.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you both.
Have Kyle help you. He wasn't here.
Kyle, you owe us, Kyle. You're buying lunch next time.
There you go.
All right. Thank you guys.
Nick,
thank you, Nick.
You got it.
Appreciate it.
Bye.